Over the past 7.5 years, starting when I was just 12 or so years old, I have sold over 100,000 ebooks, print books, and audiobooks at anywhere between 10 and 40% gross margins. And that's all happened from my computer, completely online. And in this video, I want to explain how exactly you can do that. Now, this is not a deep dive into the subject. I already made a 3-hour video that you can see right here that covers everything you could possibly need to know about that process. What this video is for you if you haven't heard of self-publishing, or you're just interested in the space and want a very quick rundown of the process and how it works. So this is the appetizer, and if you like it, then the main course is going to be that 3-hour video that I'll also link in the description. So this video will introduce you to all the essential components, tools, and strategies inherent to self-publishing, as well as the space as a whole. And I'll throw in 5 extra add-on tips at the end that have been very valuable to me throughout my tenure. Now, self-publishing is a space that's often ignored or just not talked about as far as the overarching kind of online business space goes. It's one of those side hustles that is there, and a lot of people make a lot of money doing it. But when you think about drop shipping, e-commerce, these kind of big models, for some reason, it's just kind of escaped the public eye. And so the first question and the first, I think, concept I want to make clear is that to the question of, well, can you sell ebooks? Can you sell books online and in physical stores and in libraries? Can you do that even if you're not a professional writer? 100% yes, you can, and the whole space is called self-publishing. In the literary world, there are traditional publishers where you, as an author, get an agent that pitches your book. When that gets approved, then you are paid a little bit out of your future royalties to go and write that book, and then your publisher and you work together to market that, and the publisher actually prints and distributes it. Now, the self-publishing model is a little bit different than that. Essentially, you list your own book, and then a third-party company or the publisher, the distributor at hand, is going to actually print that on demand when someone orders it. You can also order in bulk yourself and manage that inventory, but how it most often works is, for example, we'll talk about Amazon KDP in a few minutes. You just list on Amazon, and when someone buys that ebook, Amazon sends the file to them. If someone buys the print book, Amazon creates the book, they physically create it, they package it, and they ship it. So your work really is twofold. Create the book and sell the book. And by create, I mean write. And everything else the publisher will take care of, even in the self-publishing model. Now, pros and cons. The pros to the model are it is as relatively passive as it gets. That's not to say it actually is passive, but compared to a lot of very active models, if you have a good book that is selling well and ranking well, it's going to make you money for a lot of years, whether you pay any attention to it or not. Now, number 2, on the pros list is that it is a easy business to get into. I don't want to say quote unquote easy to start for something I'll touch on in a second, but it is very accessible, right? You can list anything. There are very few quality checks there, unfortunately. You can get your book and your message out to the world. The question is just, what should that book be, and how do you actually sell them? And then third and finally on the pros list, this is just my personal opinion, but it's a very interesting and rewarding business model and field in my approach, or in my experience. And that's because you're dealing with a constant variety of different subjects and new subjects, and you get to work on creating things that you think hopefully are important or impactful, or just messages, really, information that you want to get out into the world. So if you just like books, if you like and are attracted to a business and to work of that sort, well, great, maybe this is for you. So those are the pros. As for the cons, you're dealing in a space where products require a lot of effort to create. There's a very high kind of minimum bar to create a good book. Now, this depends on how you do it. And when I say it's generally high effort, either you put the effort in, so you write it yourself, or as we'll discuss, you pay someone to do it. But to pay to get a good book is expensive. So someone has to put the effort in. Alternatively, there's AI which we can also talk about in a second, and that does kind of throw a wrench into those gears. Now, that is con number one. Con number two is that there are fairly unpredictable market responses to books. And by that I mean, if you put out, let's say 10 good books, there's some inherent variability that is going to make some of them do well and some of them not do well, and it's very hard to predict that X factor of performance. And then third, and this is what I was saying about getting started, it is difficult to get the ball rolling because really what it comes down to is, well, how many good books can you put out there and what kind of systems do you have to sell those books? And part of that equation is how many books you can create and also then your, for example, ad budget. Now that money usually is going to come from other books unless you have a ton of cash to just put into the business, which means there's this period when you start where you don't have money from books to pay for new books and for marketing, so you have to kind of do a lot of the work yourself to just get the ball rolling, and then once you have books that are making money, you can start to kind of scale up on all cylinders. So those are the cons, those are the pros. Now let's get into the actual model and how to go about it. Now, one key step to building a real business that stands out from the crowd is to build your own website with a .store domain. .store is the perfect domain to sell absolutely anything online, and it does actually help you sell more. A detailed study showed that websites with a .store domain get 2x the higher ranking compared to the norm on Google and 87% higher traffic. And why? Well, when customers see your .store domain, they instinctively know that you are selling something, that it's a store. And that is how .store domains help you actually sell more. So .store is built for sellers. It is the perfect domain for anyone looking to sell anything online. And it's no wonder that Mr. Beast, Ronaldo, Rihanna, and Emirates Airlines all use .store domains to sell online. That's in addition to over 1.5 million sellers around the world that use .store domains. And for a limited time, you can get your own .store domain for just 99 cents using this code or the link in the description. And here's the bonus. When you get your .store domain, you get access to the plus version of Elevate.store. This isn't just another discount site. This is a curated toolkit for online sellers. From marketing tools to e-commerce software, Elevate.store provides exclusive deals designed to help you launch and scale your business. We're talking Canva, Shopify, AutoDS, and much more. It is everything you need to succeed in one place, and it's all yours when you go with .store. So just go to the link in the description, and with that said, let's get into actually creating ebooks. So I'll say this first. If you list with a self-publisher, you can list as a paperback, an audiobook if you create or get someone to narrate, a hardcover, and also an ebook. And if you go through all the effort of creating an ebook, you might as well, in my opinion, list in the other formats. That said, I will just focus on ebooks specifically for this video as the intro. Now, to actually write, there is not some magic system or software that people use to write books. It's just a Word file, not Google Docs, and then you write, you outline it, you know, you spend a few weeks, few months, whatever it is, writing it, and then you can go ahead and publish it. Now, if you're optimizing purely for money, what sells the best and what is best to self-publish in, right, the best niches, for a majority of people are niche nonfiction books that are under 35,000 words. Because what that means is the subjects, the books are inherently searchable, right? If I write a book on how to start a dog walking business, then people who search how to start a dog walking business, which is actually something people could search, then may see my book if it ranks well, because the actual title is what they're searching. That doesn't apply at all to fiction. Fiction is a much harder just ball game overall. And then you don't need a ridiculous amount of information in niche nonfiction books. And if you write a book that's 25,000 words, that doesn't take that long to write, right? If you can just write 1,000 words a day, and then it takes an extra month to revise, then you've written a book in 2 months. Like, it's really not that difficult. It's not easy, takes effort, it takes thought, but it's not this impossible objective. And again, you don't have to be a professional to do that yourself. If you don't do it yourself, you can hire ghostwriters to do it. I just warn that you get what you pay for when it comes to those subjects. You can also play around with AI. I just really stress and urge you to consider the actual quality of what the AI is creating. AI is amazing on a lot of things nowadays, but when it comes to full-length books, the most popular tool there is designer.io, but there are still a lot of quality limitations. But if you can make it work, and I think honestly the best is a hybrid of the two where AI can generate or create outlines or a lot of the text, but you kind of fill in the holes there. Really just quality is going to win out at the end of the day. So however you do it, you want to be efficient, but also you want to create quality books. Now, if you want to format an ebook, I recommend a software called Vellum, not sure how to pronounce it. It looks like this, and you can just plug your docs file in there, and then you'll get out an ebook that's ready for publication. That's writing. Step 2 is distributing, or actually getting the book out there. So you can hear a lot more about this and about some other platforms in the long breakdown I made. Really, the vast majority of sellers and sales use or come from 2 platforms. The first is Amazon KDP, and they basically have a monopoly in the ebook space, if we're all being honest here. And KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing, and anyone can sign up. It's completely free. All these platforms are free, and you list your book, you upload your file, you enter the title, the description, etc., and then your product will be out on Amazon for the world to see in a few days. That's pretty cool, in my opinion. Now that's Amazon KDP. The other big platform is Ingram Spark. They're really big because Ingram is the kind of content network, as it's called, that runs most bookstores, or at least independent bookstores in the world. So if a bookstore is started and they need a bunch of inventory and they need to buy their books, wholesale through some kind of, again, content network, they go to Ingram. And Ingram Spark lets you self-publish into the Ingram network. So it's also a really cool opportunity. Lot of reach. You can reach people all over the world. I think my books have sold in probably 60, 70 countries on Ingram, and a majority of those international sales come from Ingram, not from KDP. Now you can also get an ISBN for your book, which is that little identifier or the number that defines, it's like a name for each book. You can do that through what's called Bowker, which is the global company that manages all the ISBNs. And then when you list on Ingram Spark or Amazon KDP, you can use that ISBN that you own. And what that lets you do is actually get into libraries versus using the free ISBNs from the print-on-demand self-publishing companies. If you have that little number, then that's what libraries can use to go ahead and buy and actually stock your book, depending on your approach. If you don't want to get into libraries, bookstores, etc., no worries. But if you do want to, that's pretty cool. Now, something you can do as well is send your book to the Library of Congress before it's published to get a Library of Congress control number. That number also helps you get into, again, bookstores and libraries. So that's creation and distribution. Step number 3 is marketing. There's a lot you can do here. This is a whole world in of itself. I'd say as a start, you want to get some initial sales and some initial reviews. So just go to friends and family for your first few books, and having five-star reviews in Amazon is a lot better than having 0. And if you don't have reviews, or if you have bad reviews initially, no one at all is going to buy that organically. Also, if a book is bad, it will get bad reviews, and bad reviews will kill it. So you really need at least, at the bare minimum, 4 stars on average. Anything under that, and you're gonna just get basically no sales ever. It would not be pretty. Beyond friends and family, you can go with digital marketing and advertising. So you can use platforms like Amazon ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram to promote your book. And if you can build profitable funnels, great. Even if it's break even, right? Because you're still getting your book and your message out there into the world. That's very valuable. What's also very valuable is building a true system and a brand. So Something you can do, for example, is offer readers of the book a free chapter or a additional little quick ebook or checklist or tool if they go to your website that you mentioned in the book, and this could be a brand website, not necessarily your personal website, and then get their email in exchange, and then use that to bring them into the brand, promote new books, etc. And that makes your marketing job a lot easier over time as that list builds. You can also take the physical route. You can go actually promote it, give talks at local stores. There's really just a question there of how much effort you want to personally put in and whether you want this to be purely online, which is totally okay, or you want to actually associate it with you as a person. So again, I will keep this short, but there is that 3-hour video if you want, especially with regard to marketing, a deep dive into everything you could possibly need to know. With that said, now I'm going to get into the 5 quick tips that have really helped me, and in a lot of cases that I've seen either make or break your publishing success. Number 1 is translate your books. If you have one book in, for example, English that is selling really well, just go and translate it into 20 languages. I go over how to do that for free or for cheap in that longer video. It doesn't take much effort for you. It's a lot easier than creating 20 other books. And yes, English is where you're going to sell a majority of your books, but that's free money that you can get from putting those translations out there. Number 2 is use legal review exchange websites like Puppy. Never buy reviews, never do anything illegal, but there are a few sites out there where you can exchange kind of reviews that do abide by Amazon's terms of service. If you're just getting started, and I don't recommend this long-term as you build lists and a base of readers, but if you're just getting started, go on those sites, get your first 10, 20, 30 reviews that way. Number 3, I already mentioned this briefly, but again, just offer something to readers that they can get by going to your website or social media, or just connecting to you as a brand. If you're writing a book that is written by actually you, right? Like that's how you're branding it, versus a brand name, versus a ghostwriter or a pen name, however you're doing it, just create some kind of brand resource associated with it that they want. And again, trust me, that'll help you a lot in the long run. Number 4 is to use programmatic SEO to promote your book. This is something that I've been playing around with recently. I've made, I think, 2-ish videos. Well, I mentioned it in 2 videos recently that you can see right here. Could be super useful to promoting your book and getting that initial readership and sales as well. And number 5 quick tip is to repurpose public domain books and content if you want another alternative to source books, as opposed to ghostwriters writing it yourself or AI. So that's using books where the copyright expired. You have the 70-year copyright window. When that expires, you can do anything you want with that content, which means if you can bundle it well, if you can make a good cover, have some creative concept, good title, good description, etc., then you can kind of leverage that underlying content and the brand already associated with said content to do well, to make some money, to sell some copies. Those are my quick tips. Go click the link in the description to see the longer video if it interests you. Drop any questions in the comments as well, and I will see you in the next one.